Hello, my name is Katharina Manassis, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about my new book, Cast No Stones, A Guide to Living in Harmony. Now, my last book emphasized personal well-being, and I hope you found it helpful and interesting. This book goes beyond personal well-being to looking at relationships and how to have more harmonious relationships with one another. When I talk about harmony, I don't just mean coexisting peacefully with others. I mean the kind of truly respectful relationships where people listen to one another and relate to one another with empathy. Those relationships form the basis of healthy families, healthy communities, and ultimately a more peaceful world. And what could be more relevant in these turbulent times? The book brings some of these ideas together and illustrates them with a number of personal vignettes and with questions that prompt your own thinking about how the ideas might apply to your life. So where do we start? Well, the title gives us a clue. It's a biblical reference to a passage where Jesus tells the crowd who is about to stone a woman for committing adultery, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. So in other words, before you pick up a stone and start to blame someone else or punish someone else, look at your own imperfections. None of us is perfect. None of us has never done anything blameworthy. So we need to think carefully before we start casting blame toward others. After all, the woman in the story couldn't have committed adultery all by herself. And yet it's so tempting to blame others when things go wrong. Blame is simple. It avoids complex thinking about all of the different factors that might be contributing to a problem and all of the complex solutions that might be needed. Blame avoids responsibility. If we can blame someone else, we feel a little bit better because it's not our fault. Blame is reassuring. If we have someone to blame, then we think we can prevent the negative outcome from happening again, and we feel safe. And unfortunately, blame sometimes brings us together. If we think we have a common enemy or a common scapegoat, it pulls groups of people together. Unfortunately, all of those benefits come at a terrible cost. Because, of course, when we blame ourselves, we reduce our self-esteem and sometimes become prone to depression. When we blame others, we start to get into conflict with those others. Sometimes we even develop prejudices or stereotypes towards others. Sometimes we become hateful. And we stop working together to solve problems. So all very negative outcomes. And yet it's hard not to respond to negative events without some blame. To do so, we have to accept that some things are just a result of multiple factors or a result of random events. And that's a scary thought, that we're subject to negative random events. What we have to remember, though, is we can always control our responses to those events. Whatever happens, we can do what is consistent with our values. We can respond well. We can respond in ways that we're proud of. That's not easy, but it is a very worthwhile goal, and one that's been known since ancient times. It's called Stoicism. And it may be an old philosophy, but it's well worth revisiting. And I look at it in some detail in this book, and how to get there, because it's certainly not easy to do. It requires things like forgiveness, which is so easy to say and so hard to practice. It requires daily mindfulness of what is important beyond looking out for number one. It requires secular and spiritual practices that put us in the right frame of mind to be empathetic to others, because empathy is the cornerstone of harmonious relationships. Now, that may sound like a lot of different ideas, but they all contribute to the same outcome, the same idea that we want to understand one another better and live peaceful, harmonious lives together better. May you find the basis for that greater harmony in 2024. May we all. And Happy New Year.